From Darling Stadium in Hampton, Virginia, WHCS Channel 5 presents Peninsula District AAA Soccer, the Hampton Crabbers and the Kecoughtan Warriors. I'm Tim Cole with Bob Hintz and Scott Kennedy. We welcome you to Darling Stadium for the game just underway between the Hampton Crabbers in the red and white and the Kecoughtan Warriors in the green and white. And we should have a very strong match this afternoon as Kecoughtan is 8-1-1 overall. They're 2-0-1 in the district. Their only setback, if you may, is a tie with Lafayette. And the Hampton Crabbers are 2-1. And we will have, I would imagine, a very lively game this afternoon. Although Kecoughtan, as you may have heard Alan Lindsay in our earlier game allude to the fact that he has lost a key player in Chris Blaylock. So this will be a factor this afternoon. And as our expert color commentary, we have Scott Kennedy. And we welcome you, Scott.
Oh, good to be here.
The long shadows of the afternoon, this game starting at about 6:30. And for the next hour or so, the Kecoughtan Warriors on defense will be looking into a very difficult sun. Is this going to be a major factor for them, Scott?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know. I think the way it's looking now, there shouldn't be any problems out there. I don't think that sun's going to be really... C-A-N-A-D-A-Y.
Getting a little spelling on Scott's name for our graphics department. Hampton with the ball.
Scott, you coached over at Bethel, if I'm not mistaken. Did you coach over at Bethel?
Yeah, I was at Bethel for 3 years.
Okay, and then what are you doing now?
Right now I coach a select traveling team in Newport News. I've been doing that for the past 12 years and have coached high school on and off. 3 years at Bethel and 4 years at Peninsula Catholic.
Well, we're glad to have your expert commentary because Tim and I are very
unknowledgeable.
We are novice at this. I didn't wanted to try to say it so we didn't sound too stupid.
Unknowledgeable is a nice way of putting it, I think.
But you just talk away, Scott.
In fact, take over. I'm going home. No, I'm just teasing. We have a situation here where Kecoughtan is threatening. Hampton trying to clear the ball out.
Well, I tell you what, it's a good thing to see out there. I see Alan Dawkins, number 15, pushing up out of the back. He plays center back for Kecoughtan, and it looks like he's going to get into the attack a little more today than he usually does.
Now, normally he would be back on defense, is what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
It looks like he's really trying to get into the attack a little bit.
Scott, we're not particularly knowledgeable, as I said before, about a lot of these young men, but I understand that Chris Blaylock, who will not compete this afternoon for Kecoughtan, was a major player for them, and I'm just curious of what effect that will have on the Kecoughtan Warriors.
I tell you what, it probably will have a little bit of effect because Chris is a real workhorse for Kecoughtan. That guy's got a lot of stamina on the field. He's a big force out there. He's running around a lot and doing a lot of good things, and hopefully they'll be able to keep up that energy in the midfield.
This Kecoughtan team with Alan Lindsay, the coach, is 58-6-5 overall in his tenure. And in this season, they're 8-0-1, 2-0-1 in the district. They've scored 55 goals and only allowed 4. So this is a tremendous achievement by this Kecoughtan Warrior bunch.
Did you get a chance to talk about the officials? We do have 3 for this game.
I do. I will. That's, our officials this afternoon are Bill Lakin, Phil Bradley, and Bob Cunley.
And he tried to tell me he was coming and say, watch this guy. Everybody wants to be a comedian when you stick a microphone in front of them.
No comments from the peanut gallery.
Well, they've got some of the good officials out today, so this game should be kept under control. Phil Bradley and Bob Coonley are probably one of the top officials in this area. And Billy Lakin's one of the young officials coming up, doing a real good job. Well,
earlier in their earlier contest when we had Alan Lindsay up here, he's saying that the officials on a whole on the peninsula are excellent.
They are. Going over to the other side of the water is just a nightmare to try to play a game.
Well, that was his exact word. he was not happy about going over on the other side and playing.
Without getting into particulars, Scott, what do you attribute this difference in the? Are we talking about homers as far as the officiating on the other side of the water? Do the home teams tend to get a little extra consideration, or are you just talking about officials being generally less skilled, or to avoid the word being inept?
I think mainly less skilled, but a lot of times some of the officials over there are from other countries, and they tend to be a little looser in the way they like to see the game played, and it tends to make games get out of control, and it's hard for our kids to go out there and try to play soccer when it's like that.
One of the things that Bob and I battle as we do football, baseball, and basketball here on Channel 5, in addition to this soccer match, one of the things we talk about constantly is the officiating in any of these sports, and the one thing that you look for is consistency in the officials. If they are going to let a game be loose and they're consistent about it, then I'm sure that's the same type of thing you're talking about. Be consistent at least.
That's true. That's very true.
And talking about the officials, I need to give a little plug. We are going to have a couple of shows with the officials, especially with the football officials and basketball officials, that we are going to set up sometime this summer that we will air prior to the season in the fall. So look forward to watching that on Channel 5.
Yeah, Bob. You sure they're going to let you be the moderator on that?
Yes, sir. I've already talked to the officials. They told me don't bring that Tim Cole, or King Cole as one guy called him. I said, what do you mean King Cole?
Well, we know they called you Mr. T when you coached, and that's
Well,
no reference to your jewelry either.
No, nor my prowess.
Well, that should be interesting. And again, in our efforts here on Channel 5 to inform as well as entertain, these officials will be on hand coming up before the start of the fall season. And watch Channel 5 for more information on the coming days and months.
Well, now they're starting real quick, Scott, is nobody has to touch the ball. As soon as the whistle blown, Hampton was right on moving the ball down. Is they trying to catch Kecoughtan in a man short or in not being ready?
Right. I think, they're looking to get that ball off quickly and hoping that Kecoughtan's not really adjusted. They're marking up their men, and the way it looks now, though, Kecoughtan's defense is playing real strong, and it's going to be hard for them to penetrate against the defense.
Okay, now the official held up looked like a yellow card or something. What was that for?
I was cautioning one of the players, probably for. I didn't really see the foul, but it might have been just going in hard.
Might have been what, reckless play?
Right.
Now, if he gets two of those, I mean, is there a chance that he can get thrown out of the game?
If you receive your second yellow card, you get ejected from the match, yes. So I can see they're calling this game tight today. They don't want to.
What I noticed him do, as you mentioned, Bobby, he just held up the yellow card.
He held up the yellow card, so.
Having talked to Alan Lindsay earlier, he told us that the key players on his team to watch this afternoon would be, in particular, Eric Long, number 7, Kevin Spencer, number 14, and Tim Warner, I believe he mentioned earlier also.
It's a good thing the referees are calling this game tight, because Tim is from Hampton High School. He transferred to Kecoughtan this year, so.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up during the interview, but my interview is rather short. There is a player that played for Hampton last year, and that is, give me his name again.
Tim Warner.
Uh-huh.
So I'm sure the Hampton guys are keeping a close eye on Tim and letting him know that they were still hoping he was on their team.
Do you expect this to be a low-scoring contest?
I tell you what, you never know. It might be. It just depends on how well the Hampton defense plays. I think that the Kecoughtan defense I've watched most of their games all season long, and they're strong back there. Kevin Spencer's done a great job. Alan Dawkins has worked hard for them in the center midfield spot. And I can't, unless Kecoughtan doesn't put that ball in the net, I don't think Hampton's going to put too many in. It might, if anything, it could be, if it's a tight game, 2-2.
Okay.
Looking down the starting roster for Kecoughtan with this fine 8-0-1 record, I noticed that of their starters are only 2 seniors and a fair number of sophomores. I guess looking at it, looks like about 6 juniors, 3 sophomores, and 2 seniors. So they are looking at a good team and one that will return most of their players next year as well.
And the good thing about it is most of the players out there really love the sport of soccer, and they're playing year-round and as a team usually, and it's helped them out a lot too on the field because they're getting to know each other a lot better, and it's not just that one season a year high school soccer.
Well, that was one of my questions I wanted to ask. When they do play off-season, they do play as a team?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Well, that has to add some continuity to their getting used to each other playing, as you was talking about. That's got to help.
It also helps because these guys are playing men's league, so they're playing against college players and older men, so it's helped them out there to be able to be more composed when they're playing against teams that are tackling them hard and working them real hard on the field.
The old adage that if you're playing against better players, it's got to improve your skills.
That's true. That's true. It's Tim Warner with the ball. He's got a good throw in, so we could look to see maybe Eric Long flick the ball over his head if he can get in there.
Of course, that throw in against the wind, and it's contact before. Now
It was number 14 was knocked to the ground. That was
foul was committed by Ricky Gullidge, number 13 of Hampton. You could see that he was obviously interfered with before he played the ball.
right. Now, is this a direct or indirect kick?
This is indirect, so it must have been obstruction on the Hampton player.
Our director has asked us to try and explain the offsides. What I think we'll do is just wait until we have an occurrence of offsides, and maybe Scott would be kind enough to inform us of that.
There should be a whistle there. Yeah, dangerous play.
And what do you mean by dangerous play? Explain that to me.
When a player's in a position where it could be a danger to him, like I think it was Jeremy Scarrett, where he could get kicked or injured, the referee will blow the whistle and give it to the other team. He was on the ground trying to play the ball and not up on his feet, so they give him a dangerous play.
But then the ball goes over to, who do you determine who gets the ball?
If whoever's in the dangerous position, the other team will get the ball, where Jeremy was laying on the ground trying to play the ball. So the referee will say that he's in a dangerous position, let's give it to Hampton.
Okay.
So you don't penalize, and I don't mean in the sense of a penalty, but you don't penalize the other team because of that. You give it to the team.
Right.
Look at the crowd out here now.
This is one thing that Alan was talking about, that he will throw the ball up the side rather than to the center, because a lot of times the other team will knock it out right back out of bounds. You get another throw in further and further up the field.
Right, and I tell you what, the throw-ins for Kecoughtan have been tremendous over the years. Playing on these small fields, they've scored a bunch of goals from throw-ins because the field's so small that you can throw the ball like Tim Warner did into the goal mouth, and it's easy to get a goal off of something like that.
And he is throwing into the wind, and that's not a slight wind blowing out there today.
I should mention that at game time at 6:30 p.m. here on the 24th of April, 1991, this game videotaped, that the wind is blowing very briskly from our left to our right. I would say that it's probably a good 20-mile-an-hour wind, sometimes gusting higher, and the temperature is perfect for soccer, I would think, Scott, in the upper 60s, mid-60s.
Oh, it's a beautiful day. The heat shouldn't be a factor. Beautiful weather out there.
Ball last touched out of bounds by Kecoughtan. A throw in coming for the Crabbers.
Should look to see Bobby Calfee has the ball now. He's a good player for Hampton. He needs to be a little more active out on that field and could help the team out.
Good tackle by Eric Long to take the ball away from him, and then the foul committed gives the ball to the Warriors. Out of the third of the way through the first half, 15 minutes into our ball game. The soccer game is 45-minute halves. The clock runs continually. Even though the ball may go out of bounds, the clock continues to run, and it will be stopped in the event of an injury on the field. And if I guess, as Alan mentioned to us in our first game, Scott, if there's a prolonged delay on the part of one of the teams, the referee can't add time to the time. Is that correct?
Yes, especially for an injury. If a kid gets injured on the field, they stop the clock and that can add on to the time. I think in high school, and I'm not sure what the rules in high school for injury time, but I do think the clock stops for them.
Okay, now, I noticed that when there's a substitution, you hear the horn blast, but is it always when the ball is kicked out of bounds that you can substitute? I mean, does it have to be on the side or can it be on the end zone?
It can be on the end line for goal kicks or possession corner kicks. You can sub.
Any stoppage of play, right?
Right. Or injured players you can substitute also. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a limit? We're trying to be as educational as we can for our view. Is there a limit to the number of substitutions during any one game? Or
No, not at all. You
virtually
can. I've seen some teams platoon their players in there, send 4 and 5 in every 4 or 5 minutes.
And the theory of that, I would assume, would be to keep fresh troops in there and wear the other team down.
Right. There's a great ball by Eric Long.
Now, the Hampton player kicked the ball to the sideline rather than let it go over the end line. Why?
Because if he kicks it over the end line, then they'll get a corner kick. And if it goes over the sideline, then they can throw it in. So, actually this throw in here for Tim is almost like a corner kick
Yeah,
for Kickotan.
I would think that you'd prefer to be able to throw it in because of the ability to be more accurate with the wind and all. Soccer, like every sport, has a great deal of strategy. I was looking down our Hampton side of the roster and noticed a name that you and I have been familiar with for several years while covering Hampton City school sports, and that's the name Stefanko. We have Ryan Stefanko and Brett Stefanko out here this afternoon.
They had a brother that was a rather good
Football player.
halfback for the Hampton Crabbers.
Also, another name that came to mind was John Stein, who has been scratched for today's game. He was the punter on the Hampton football team, I do believe. We were talking, and our statistician for today's game, we're happy to tell you, is Chris Lanive. He was telling me that this Scott Herman for Hampton is one of their key players to keep an eye on.
He's a young man that had the ball right then, and it was knocked out of bounds by the Kickotan player, so they'll get a free throw in here.
That's Calfee playing it for Hampton, chased down by Warner. And he kicks it out of bounds off of a Hampton player. That was number 14, Joshua Smith for Hampton, who touched it last. No score as we are in the first half here. But Kickotan threatening. Shot on goal and a save. Goaltenders.
Ask your statistician there, Tim, how many shots on goal that the Warriors seem to have had more shots than the Crabbers.
Yeah, in fact, they have 7 shots, while Hampton has yet to register a shot on goal. And as a very famous sports announcer once said, if you don't shoot on goal, you can't score.
And that's in any sport that you got to go through a goal, whether it's
right.
hockey or soccer or basketball. You got to shoot to score.
Look at that clearing kick all the way down the length of the field with that substantial wind behind him. That's Kyle Moore, the goaltender for the Hampton Crabbers. Our goaltenders for today is Moore for Hampton and Todd Pope for the Kickotan team. Kickotan on the attack.
That was a nice pass that time. I didn't get to see who made the pass, but that was great because they had a man breaking towards the goal.
What was the stoppage of play there for, Scott?
I didn't see that. I was looking at this. The way it's looking right now, it looks like it's going to be a low-scoring game because Hampton is playing a lot of players in their back and really cutting down any attack for Kecoughtan. While they're only playing, the reason I think they're having they have no shots on goal right now is because they're leaving 2 men up front with, looks like 4 backs from Kecoughtan covering those. And let me tell you, it's hard to get down there in front of the goal when you have to beat 4 people with 2. Not much attack really coming out of Hampton right now.
Is that a strategy sometimes? You kind of want to play a waiting game and see if you can just kind of play defense and hope defense is your best offense, kind of wait for the other team to make a mistake so you can capitalize?
Well, sometimes if you bring a lot of your players back into your defense, you suck the other team's defense into your defensive third, and it opens up your two strikers up front. You can knock a ball through to them. But it looks like Kecoughtan's going to have none of that today, and making sure that everyone's covered back in the back.
It's a bit of a chess game being played by the coaches.
Well, they both know this is an important game. And like Alan said in the interview, he says anytime Hampton and Kecoughtan play, regardless of what it is, you're going to have keen competition.
Let me repeat what Alan said. Herbie Stewart has done a great job with this Hampton team, though. In the past, they've been weak, and it looks now that they're at least trying to get up and play some soccer with the big boys.
That's kind of a dangerous move by the goalie. Of course, he ended up with the ball, but had he not ended up with the ball, then it would have been a...
That's a good ball to Matt Dyke. Oh, here comes a goal.
Warner.
Oh, what a
yes.
goal.
Boy, just didn't get... When you called out, you could see it coming. That was a nice call.
That was a good effort by Kyle Moore. Got his hands on that.
So the Warriors strike gold first as Tim Warner will get credit for the goal. And we'll watch this on the replay. Here's Tim, left-footed kick. Sets it up.
That's Matt Dyke.
Kind of a stop and go there.
Goes Tim running through.
Just missed by the Hampton defender. And then Warner with the right-footed kick this time trickles off the goalie and across the goal line for the first score of our soccer game.
And who was that made the pass? Was that Dyke?
Yeah, Matt Dyke. That was good composure by Tim Warner not to rush that ball on the goal. Settled it down and took it in there. Good effort by Kyle Moore.
So Tim Warner, the junior forward for Kecoughtan, gets the goal, and we're 1-0. Approximately 25 minutes into our first half. This will be a throw in by the Crabbers. And the sounding of the horn with a substitution. The Crabbers will bring out number 7, that's Schaffner. And he was replaced in the lineup by, well, I can't make out his number from here, Bob.
Well, you got my binoculars down there. Grab a hold of
It wouldn't matter. He hasn't turned his back to me yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, he finally does. It looks like it's number 12. And that would be Christopher Matisik. Apologize if I've butchered that name. Hampton has control with the kick from the far side, and it hits the net. So this will be a goalie kick.
Kecoughtan is bringing 2 players in.
Looks like Jeremy Scarrett back on the field.
Scott Herman got the shot on goal for the Crabbers that time.
22 was one of them.
Crabbers trailing 1-0. Tim Warner goal. Here's a breakaway. And just wide to the left. Good effort by Kecoughtan there as they're trying to open this game up, it would appear. Trying to catch some of the Hampton defenders upfield.
We'll get a good chance to see if Hampton panics after that first goal and really starts just shoving people up into their attack. And I have a feeling if that happens, Kecoughtan's going to put quite a few balls in the back of the net.
So you think that a wide open game favors Kecoughtan, obviously?
It sure does.
Been a well-paced game so far. There have been very few stoppages per se. Both teams are very quick to restart.
I noticed that the passing is much crisper in this game, and it's like they know where each other is going to be.
Well, that comes from, especially for the Kecoughtan guys, that comes from them playing so much together. And a lot of those boys spend a lot of time out in the backyard just practicing soccer together. And that helps out a lot.
If you joined us late, you're watching the Hampton Crabbers and the Kecoughtan Warriors in a AAA soccer match. Here from Darling Stadium, I'm Tim Cole with Bob Hintz and Scott Kennedy. And we are bringing you the second soccer game of our coverage this season, our spring sports coverage. We want to make you aware of the fact that there are two games that have been played, this game and a game between between Phoebus and Bethel. And watch Channel 5's listings here for the times that you can watch these games. We'll also have some girls softball and some more baseball for you here as we will be doing our spring sports coverage on Channel 5. Hampton controlling the ball. You saw some poor play, I guess, on the part of Hampton that time. They almost set up the Kecoughtan Warrior offense.
That's certainly a dangerous ball to knock anywhere where Tim Warner's around with his speed. He can usually beat most players to any balls around there. Should be a good opportunity for Kecoughtan. They do real well on their corner kick plays.
Well, this is one thing that I noticed now. He being Kecoughtan has got 3 players in the box. When we watched the game before, there was none in the box.
And as he kicked the ball, they all ran away from the box.
Yeah, but then somebody else run in, so it's a good move.
It's kind of a set play that they have.
Yeah, I think Kecoughtan has about 3 set plays on corner kicks that I've seen. I heard Alan mention that in the game before, that I think it was Phoebus, he said, needed to get more players into the 18 when they had corner kicks and didn't have anyone standing near the goalie.
Right, and that's the point I was trying to make, that they had 3 down there when they started. We have evidently an infraction against the Warriors. If you blow out the window, I'm letting you go as big as you are, Tim. If that wind carries you out, I'm going to tie myself down.
Approximately 30 minutes into the first half, 45-minute halves, some contact before the ball was thrown in. Kecoughtan was called for the foul. Calfee.
Scott Herman.
Oh. That was Herman. He was trying to get the ball too. Herman, a senior.
I think that was Hampton's first shot on goal from the field, not from a set play. They had the shot from Scott Herman on the set play, but I think that's the first shot they've had really in the attack.
Free kick into the wind, headed forward by the Crabbers.
Good ball by Jeremy Scarrett.
And then misplayed to the Hampton defense. That was Rashad Barnett, number 4, who had it momentarily. Throw in for the Warriors. Again, the majority of the Hampton players lagging well behind the play. 6 players back on defense. Look, they might be a little bit winded.
Well, it's going to be hard for them to score offensively if they've got that many players back defensively.
I think they're more leery of that Kecoughtan attack than really being winded, because they've got the wind pushing them down the field if they wanted to run in there and attack. But with Tim Warner's speed, I think they've got to keep a few people back there to stop him from getting the run on the ball. This is Kecoughtan's game here. They need to settle that ball down and just keep control.
Nice job of dribbling that time by number 17, Alan Warren.
That wind really carried the ball that time.
You got to hold your mic up
I
to
was
your
going to
face.
say, I better do something with my mic. I'm not used to having to hold my mic up.
It's Eric Long wide open in the middle of the field if they could get him the ball.
Now, is this strategy sometimes, Scott, where the team will attack down the sideline rather than the center of the field?
Well, that's what you want to kind of try to do, because there's so many people packed into the middle of the field. Most of the space is on the outside, so it's easier to work the ball down to the outside and then look to cross it across into the middle for people running onto it.
Okay.
You'll notice that if a lot of people, if there's too many passes through the middle, they tend to lose the ball quite a bit.
Warner with the long throw in, and is last touched by one of the Crabbers.
The wind's got to affect the throw-ins. I would think that if you're used to being able to put the ball at a certain area when you throw the ball in, when you're throwing against the wind, you have a tendency to either underthrow or overthrow. And I would assume it would make it a little tougher on Kecoughtan throwing the ball in than they normally would do.
Corner kick forthcoming. This is Tim Warner. Left-footed kick headed out by the Crabbers.
There goes Scott Herman all by himself. Someone needs to get up there and help him out a little bit. You can see there where forcing the ball in the middle for Kecoughtan made them lose the ball.
Right.
Look to knock that down the wing a little bit. Hampton's got a lot of guys back there defending. It's going to be hard to get past all those players. It's another ball by Matt Dyke to Tim Warner. There's a good cross across there. Now we'll look to see him cross the ball, hopefully. There, oh.
Almost. That was a nice save by, I didn't catch the number of the Hampton player, but he got a foot on that ball or it would have been a great pass.
Play continues as one of the Hampton players went down, but there was no foul and therefore no stoppage of play. Crabbers trying to put on some offensive threat. You saw streaking in from the right side was Scott Herman, but the goalie there to play the ball for Kecoughtan.
Looks like Kecoughtan's bringing on 2 new players. Taking Jeremy Scarrett out. Who else came in there?
Approximately 10 minutes remaining in the first half. Hampton and Kecoughtan. Kecoughtan on a Tim Warner goal leads 1-0. Long pass right side, intercepted by the Warriors.
Scott Seagraves.
Long pass and played by the goalie. Kyle Moore coming out, cutting off that pass.
Kickatam might want to try to keep that ball out of the air. It looks like from that pass from Scott, it kind of died before it got to Tim Warner. And that, they need to keep that ball on the ground like they're doing right now. That's a good job.
Well, Hampton wastes no time in getting that ball in play.
Well, I'm sure they're trying to catch, trying to outman the Warriors, but they do a good job getting back on defense.
Long shot off the top of the crossbar. Still alive, and a goal, yes.
No, it's not. That was
Wow, that was two good shots by the Crabbers.
that was some luck there for Todd Pope. He, certainly happy that crossbar's there.
2 crossbars in a row for the Crabbers, so they must feel a little bit snake bitten to get those kind of opportunities against Kecoughtan and come up dry. Kecoughtan will have a throw in. This is Warner. He's all over the field.
We're talking about those quick restarts for Hampton. They might want to slow those down a little bit and try to get a couple people up in the attack to pass it to.
Well, it would seem their strategy is to, as Bob has alluded to, trying to catch Kecoughtan unprepared. They feel like, I guess, on an even man situation, they don't have an advantage. It would seem like that is at least their strategy on the surface.
Is the overall speed at Kecoughtan a little more than what Hampton's got? At this, would you think maybe that's why that they're playing that much defense, or they just think that Kecoughtan's got more of an offensive-minded team?
Let me interrupt you, Bob. We're watching a replay here of the 2 shots that hit the crossbar. The first one came out long. This one goes up and down and never crosses the goal line. Of course, had that crossed the goal line, it would have been a score for the Hampton Crabbers. Very much like in hockey, when you have the puck hit the crossbar, it has to completely cross the goal line in order to be a goal.
Right. So Todd was awful lucky there. That's a tough call to call for the linesman, too. It's really hard to see if that ball, when it's bouncing like that, crosses over the line.
Well, he didn't even make a move on the second one. I think he thought the second one was just going to sail, and it didn't. It just kind of died and hit the crossbar.
It would seem, and Chris has a good point here, it seems that Hampton is trying to counterattack as quickly as they can, using the defense to get the ball and then to quickly try and strike against Kecoughtan. I still think that they feel in a even man situation they can't play with Kecoughtan.
But still, they're even going against them with that quick counterattack. Kecoughtan has 4 backs back there, and they're trying to knock the ball into Rashad or Scott Herman, and it's going to be tough having those 2 guys try to beat 4 of their backs, because Kecoughtan has some strong backs this year.
Goalie kick coming up as the attempt went over the goal line. Kecoughtan with 10 shots here in the first half to just 4 for the Hampton Crabbers. And 2 of those came in bang-bang succession there just a moment ago.
Well,
Long out-of-bounds kick.
That's certainly not what Hampton needs right now. Need to keep that ball on the field. Try to play a little bit more.
Approximately 5 minutes remains here in the first half. Tackle and what might have been a penalty or a foul, at least none called. Did appear as if Calfee had committed a foul there, at least it appeared from here, but none was whistled down. Again, a poor goalie kick, this time into the wind and rather understandably by Todd Pope. Hampton trying to put some pressure on the Warriors. Pope comes out to play the ball.
That was a dangerous ball by Alan Warren back there. Just to try to keep that ball out wide.
You don't want to put a cross pass for your opponent, right?
No, you certainly don't want to do that. You want to try to keep it out of the front of your goal.
He was double teamed, Tim.
They made sure that Warner didn't keep the ball that time. Warner waiting for his teammates to move downfield as a free kick coming.
This is where Hampton has to be really cautious because Kecoughtan is so good on the restarts.
Everybody kind of matching up with an opponent. And that is your halftime. So we've played one half of the soccer match, and our score at halftime finds Kecoughtan on the strength of Tim Warner's goal, leading 1-0. We'll return to Darling Stadium after this brief timeout. Second half just underway from Darling Stadium. Tim Cole, Bob Hintz, and Scott Kennedy. The statistics here in the first half very quickly for you. Kecoughtan had 10 shots on goal to 4 for Hampton. 2 corner kicks for the Warriors and none for the Crabbers. 11 fouls committed by Hampton, 10 by Kecoughtan. And 1 save by Hampton, none by the Warriors.
Well, Tim, the wind is.
Yeah, you're
the wind
fine.
has changed a little bit, and you can see how far. But a cold front just came through. That I remember hearing the forecast that it's going to get down to the 40s tonight. So we were standing out here with nice 60-degree weather, and it feels like it dropped to about 40 real quick.
Well, the players will appreciate the coolness, but the wind continues to be a factor as that will affect the play here. Of course, and Scott, not Scott, but Alan Lindsay mentioned earlier about wanting to take the wind whenever he wins the toss of the coin, because you take it when you can get it. You never know when it's going to change or die on
and
you.
it seems to be a little more across the
Well, that's
field
what I
than
was
it
just gonna
was
say.
Left to right as it was earlier.
Exactly. What I was just going to say is the wind now, instead of left to right, is coming across the field, which will present still a problem, but it was nice having that wind behind you in the first half.
Well, it looks like Herbie had a good talk with his boys at halftime because they're starting to get more into the attack and put a little more pressure on Kecoughtan.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you, Scott, as a former coach, in fact, a current coach for select soccer. What would you have told your team, were you Hampton and conversely for Kecoughtan?
Well, if I was Hampton, I think I'd have told the guys they need to get more in the attack and be a little more active on the field. I think they were playing a little too scared of Kecoughtan and not going out there and trying to play the game plan that they probably had before this game started. And if I was Kecoughtan, and I think Alan Lindsay must have told them, they need to start showing the feet and getting the ball to them and keeping that control of the ball on the field.
As we was watching Alan during the halftime, he was very animated, and he's very into the game. He's a very intense coach.
He certainly is that. He likes perfection in his players and wants them to work hard on the field at all times.
And just in case you're wondering if it works or not, he is 56-4 in his 4-year career as coach at Kecoughtan. So certainly the things he's been doing are the right things. Our only score came from Tim Warner in the first half. Kecoughtan leads 1-0. Second half just underway from Darling Stadium. Hampton in the white uniforms with the red numerals and trim. They are the home team for this match.
Well, let's see if Hampton picks up the pace a little bit and tries to get more active out here. It might turn out to be a good game.
I thought it's been a well-played game, very close. You use the term marking the players?
Right, covering their players on the field and make sure that, each man has someone marking them or covering them so that they don't have anyone running free to attack the goal.
Are there various types of defense, Scott, in soccer where you have a man-to-man defense or a zone defense per se?
Yeah, there is. Most of the teams around here play man-to-man defense because it's easier to mark up and find your man and chase him around on the field. But there is zone defense, and I haven't seen many teams play it, but it's around here.
Well, that was my point if you're looking at basketball, you play man-to-man, you're concerned with the man, and you can keep him off the boards from rebounding. In zone, you can't do that.
No, you're all right. You're okay.
I'm okay?
It wasn't coming through. I think Scotty may have had you turned down.
Don't turn me down, Scotty.
Nobody turns him down.
But in a zone, you have to find the person in your zone, and if there's two there, then you get frustrated which one that you cover. In basketball, I know being a former basketball coach, it was easier to teach techniques in a man-to-man than it is in a zone, and I would imagine the same thing holds true for soccer.
Right, it is.
Well, the wind we referred to has in fact made a complete shift, and it is now going from right to left, although it's coming somewhat across the field, but it's more right to left than it is. Interestingly enough,
Goalie's had trouble the last two times kicking the ball, Tim. He's kicked it out of bounds both times, and this last one was really short.
Hampton with a shot on goal and a save by the goalie. Trying to pick up the number of the young man who made that attempt. That was Ryan Stefanko, number 8. Kyle Moore, the goalie for the Hampton Crabbers, on the play. You can see how that wind has shifted. He almost kicked the ball the length of the field. Hampton putting a little more pressure on now. Scott Herman.
Well, it seems like, if I can be so bold, is that Hampton is thinking more offense now than they were the first half.
I think Herbie tried to fire him up a little bit and said, hey, it's time to get in this game and start playing out there and stop worrying about that Kecoughtan attack and start getting in there and scoring some goals yourself.
Stefanko hits the uprights. Unfortunately, that doesn't count.
Not in this sport.
Now here's something you might explain for us, Scott. It's a goalie kick, but Eric Long looks like he's going to kick it. Why would that be?
I think possibly because Eric has a good foot and he'll be able to get some distance on that ball, where Todd, as we've said before, is having some troubles kicking it. So they want to get someone down there that can get it out of their defensive third.
So explaining the rule, then a goalie kick can actually be taken by any player,
on the field, right?
The Warriors on the attack.
Eric Schaffner with the ball. I think Kecoughtan's trying to take a little too much advantage of the wind and needs to settle that ball down just a little bit more.
Well, I think they have lost the wind. There was to them earlier, and it seems to have shifted. And it's blowing in their face. It's coming more cross field now and a little bit right to left, where earlier in the first half it was definitely left to right.
Kecoughtan leading 1-0. Their only setback of any sort this season, a tie with Lafayette last week. They are 8 victories, no defeats, and 1 tie.
It's a good tackle by that Hampton defender in there to win that ball.
Speaking of records, the Crabbers with only 1 loss, that at the hands of Menchville. Crabbers had an opportunity there, was unable to capitalize, and now they'll kick it right back to their goaltender.
I'd like to see Hampton do well as a former Hampton High School soccer player. I'd like to really see them work hard out there and get a goal, tie this game up.
We got a couple of ex-Crabbers around here.
Yeah, they're standing side by side here. Well, I didn't. My sons went to Kecoughtan, and I coached at Bethel, so I'm completely non-biased in this game. Not like I might say who's to my left here.
We got No homers in this crowd.
Tim, it seems like there's more whistles in this game than there was in the first one, and maybe it's because it's more.
Well, as you said, there's more close play by the defense, and there was in the first half alone there were 21 fouls committed by the two teams, where in comparison to the first game that we did between Bethel and Phoebus, there weren't nearly as many stoppages in that type.
Well, I think what happens also is when you're getting some teams that are trying to pass the ball around a little bit, there tends to be more fouls because you're not really chasing the ball around. You're going to people who are getting the ball at their feet, and you're having to get in there and tackle them right away. There's Matt Dyke again. Wow.
Blocked out of bounds by Schaffner. Quick play in will be taken by Moore. Spots the man on the right side and can't quite control it.
There, that's what Kecoughtan needs to be doing right here. Keeping control of that ball.
Puts a lot of pressure on Hampton, who is trying to get more offensive oriented, and they have to stay down at their defensive end of the field. And I'm assuming it would tend to frustrate you after a while.
Does that, and if Kecoughtan can keep just passing that ball a little bit more, as we were talking about marking man-to-man, it tends to open up more space when you're following your men, and men can run off the ball, and you can open up space for people to run into and receive a pass. It's a good dummy by Alan Warren.
What does that mean, Scott? What do you mean by
It looked like he was going to get the ball, and he let it go.
That's right.
I picked that one up right away, Tim. You had your finger in your eye.
I knew that. I was trying to get him to explain it.
Well, let me explain it. I knew that one.
It's like a dummy. That's right. It's a fake. Dangerous situation there for the Crabbers. They are
Alan Warren with the shot.
in trouble for a minute, but they clear it out. Good pass down the field.
But it looks like they only have Scott Herman up there to help him out. Hampton needs to start running a little bit more to get up there and help him.
Ricky Gullidge made a good effort that time. It just couldn't find anybody to pass it to.
It does look like Todd's having a hard time getting that ball out of the front of his goal. He might even think about trying to throw that ball out instead of kicking it. Scott Seagrave seems to be playing well after injuring his big toe before the game. Number 10.
Now, it appeared to go out of bounds off the Hampton player, but they in fact gave a free kick to Hampton.
Hampton's doing a great job of defending. I wish they'd try to work that attack a little bit more and try to get up there and get some shots on goal.
A 1-0 lead for the Warriors. The only goal from Tim Warner in the first half. There should be a handball.
There goes Eric Long.
Good effort by Long to center the ball. And a trip. It was Eric Schaffner who tripped up the Kecoughtan player.
Looks like he'll knock this into the 18 and they'll run onto it for a chance on goal.
And that's exactly what happens, but Kyle Moore is able to play the ball. Good job on defense by Jeffrey Minter, number 16.
Now what happened there?
Now they say Hampton's ball.
It started off as Kecoughtan, and then
The linesman must have seen something different than the center official did, and he waved him off and told him that it was going for Hampton.
okay.
Oh, there's a great ball. Get on. This
Dangerous situation for the Crabbers. They're able to clear it out. Long pass down the right sideline. Intended for Stefanko. That's Ryan Stefanko.
Sure like to see Eric Long out there for Kecoughtan working a little harder on the field to get that ball. Can make a big impact in that center midfield spot by just getting a little more movement out of him to look to receive the ball to his feet.
You mean, is he
Not,
not,
not
active
moving
enough?
around enough? Is
Can
that
he
what you're saying?
move, you know, explain that a little bit.
Oh, I don't think he's moving around enough to look to receive the pass from the players that have it. And in that center midfield position, your job mainly is to look to receive passes from everyone on the field and to distribute them to other players on the field. There he goes. That was a great ball by him there. Let's see what Matt Dyke can do with it.
Warner will shoot. Long was coming in for any rebound that might have been available, and a good job by Moore not to give a rebound. Warriors trying to step up their offense a bit.
Well, the ball has stayed down to the right end of the field a whole lot this half. At the beginning, it looked like Hampton was being a little more aggressive offensively, but now it's Kecoughtan has picked it up, and they've stayed down to the right end of the field for the.
As Chris was saying to my left, we're seeing more of a passing attack on the part of the Warriors. Getting into their passing game more so rather than waiting for Hampton. There's a foul. Even a novice like myself can pick that one out.
That was pretty obvious, Tim. Good call. Nothing gets by you.
About 20 minutes into the second half now, 45-minute halves. And again, Pope having trouble with the free kick. Kicks it out of bounds, and Hampton will have a throw in.
Now, there was a definite push.
There's Hampton trying to put something together here. Oh, that's a great ball. Good job by Alan Dawkins to cut all that off. Well, that's dangerous.
Kecoughtan able to get the ball out of harm's way as the Crabbers putting on some of the pressure for one of the few times this afternoon. And there's another good example of why you play the ball up the sidelines.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's
Crabbers definitely putting the pressure on. And the Warriors last touched it out of bounds. You throw in for the Crabbers.
looks like Hampton's been able to get some attack together when they've got more than those two attackers up there helping out. Every time they get 4 players up there, it looks like something starts to happen for them.
Centering pass for Warner, and a
Looks like
foul
oh,
against the Warriors.
look to see that ball up past midfield off of Kyle Moore. Oh, it's a surprise. Looks like Alan Warren and Mike Fullen on the field for Kecoughtan.
Warriors holding on to that 1-0 lead.
It's another good dummy. Oh,
And a good attempt, but it's right to the goalie. Good effort by the Crabbers to move up. Pass on the right side. Settle the ball down nicely. Good move. Crossing pass is headed out. And a shot on goal. So Hampton has shown some real good offense here in the second half.
When they decide to go on offense, they really put the pressure on the Warriors.
all they need to do is just keep pushing those players up into the attacking third and trying to work that ball to get it into the net. There goes Kevin Spencer. He's a good ball player.
Had Warner on the right wing.
Oh,
Now that ball appeared to hit the Hampton player in the hand. Was
Yeah.
it because it was just an inadvertent play that they let play continue?
right. The rule says that you need to intentionally handle the ball. So that would mean that your arm would move to hit it. If your arm was up in the air and it hit you in the hand, then it would be unintentional and you wouldn't call a handball on that.
Centering pass headed out by the Crabbers. Kecoughtan trying to catch Hampton. Not quite set. Warriors still on the attack. Centering pass is intercepted and kicked downfield. Pass downfield to a Warrior. One to nothing. Tim Warner's goal standing up here as we are approximately halfway through the second half. Kecoughtan 1, Hampton nothing.
Well, what do you think about the tournament this year? In soccer, the top 4 teams.
They've needed that tournament for a long time. It's about time it came into play now. But the way it looks now with Lafayette and Kecoughtan tied up there, it might be tough. I was reading in the paper where Bill Hurdle was hoping that tie wouldn't stand because if there's a tie for first place, then those 2 teams go to the tournament.
Then there will be no district tournament.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that was a nice ball by Alan Warren. Good defensive play there by Hampton. They're doing a good job of keeping that Kecoughtan team out of the attacking area.
We should get our, not to stray away from soccer, we get Scotty to get a shot of that sunset over to our left. If that isn't one gorgeous sunset here in the waning hours of the daylight here at Hampton's Darling Stadium, the new Darling Stadium. Guess won't be able to call it that much longer, Bob. This would be the...
This is the second year, right?
Yeah. Third football season coming up. Eric Long with a chance, shot deflected and gobbled up by Kyle Moore.
Hampton team's doing a good job of not rushing in there and trying to take that ball off of the Kecoughtan players' feet.
Ooh, there's your basic trip 101.
he didn't look too happy about it either.
And Jeffrey Minter got a yellow card for his efforts.
That looks like Scott
Sorry,
Herman.
I said Minter is Scott Herman.
Yeah, Scott Herman, number 15.
Yep. Apologize for that. It was 15, not 16, and he has come out of the ball game. I don't know whether that was the reason he came out. Was that his second yellow card? I know a Hampton player got one earlier.
No, the Virginia High School League says that the rule says if you get cautioned on the field, you have to come out for a substitute, and they have to send a player on. He can come right back in the next dead ball play.
Okay.
Kecoughtan's having a hard time penetrating that Hampton defense. I can't say enough about them. Doing a good job back there.
They're kind of like packing it in back there, and they're not giving them anything, any kick on goal. There's no openings at all, and it's hard to find a man breaking to an open spot.
Chris had a good point. Kecoughtan only seven second half shots, whereas they had quite a few more in the first half. You might want to remind Sammy that his microphone is open.
Sam forgets that.
Crabbers with an attack here and safely kicked to the goalie by one of the Warriors. A shot wide of the goal to the right.
Hampton's defense is much better. They are really, I'm sure Kecoughtan getting frustrated. They're used to getting many more kicks on goal than they've been getting.
Hampton is doing a great job back there. I think that it might hurt them if they start really jumping into the attack. I noticed before, in the play before, that Hampton was leaving their men unmarked, and that can be dangerous to them. They need to, if they're going to push forward in the attack, they need to make sure they get back also and mark their men.
Good centering pass.
Foul on Eric Long.
A little too
Now, he
aggressive.
was really going for the ball, but you can't go through, it's similar to interference in football. You can't go through a player to get to the ball.
Right. Could be another chance here for Hampton. No.
Grabbers get it back.
Scott Herman back on the field.
dangerous pass taken by the goalie Pope. That ball was up for grabs. Pope has elected to pass the ball this time instead of kicking. His recent attempts have been going out of bounds. Good stand-up defense that time by Kecoughtan. That was Kevin Spencer who intercepted.
Mike Fullen should get that pass number 2. Good ball. Should be a goal.
No, it was too high, but it was a great pass, and then that was, what, number 21?
Attempt from Chucky Moore of Kecoughtan went high over the goalpost.
That was some good passing from Alan Warren to Mike Fullen into Chucky Moore.
Approximately 30 minutes into the second half, 15 minutes remaining. A 1-0 lead by the Warriors. Contact made. And the foul is against the Hampton Crabbers. That is Jeffrey Minter. I got him right that time.
Looks like Hampton is starting to push some more players up into the attack and get a little more serious about this now. Oh, this is dangerous.
Not to state the obvious, but you lose 1-0 or 3-0, it doesn't matter.
That's true.
That's right.
You might as well go for it at this point. Robert Calfee with a long attempt.
I'd like to see him control that ball a little bit more and look to pass it to someone that's in a better position to shoot that ball.
Four shots on goal for the Crabbers here in the second half. They had a like number in the first. Kecoughtan has had by far the greater number of attempts with 19 all total. Appreciate Chris Leneve giving us these statistics. Helping me out. He's giving me information what to talk about here too, because I'm just kind of sitting back here enjoying watching this. It's being a well-played soccer match between these two teams. I've really enjoyed the tempo of this game. There's been very, very few lulls in the action. Going to be some tired young men at the end of this game. It's been basically non-stop.
Looks like Kecoughtan's dropping more players back into the midfield to cover up now that Hampton started putting a little pressure on in the attack, and that might hurt their attack out a little bit.
Well, do you think that it's possible that they are kind of going into the defensive shell here with a 1-0 lead with still a substantial amount of time, a good 10 minutes remaining in the game?
No, I don't think so. He still has the same 4 backs back there, and Scott Seagraves and Eric Long playing center midfield, so I think he's just seeing that they're getting a little bit of attack and wants those guys back there to help out and cover up in places where people are left wide open.
Foul committed by Warner. A chip shot, and again, Pope comes up with the stop.
Looks like Hampton's starting to get that ball in there a little bit more, getting them some opportunities to try to get some shots on goal.
See Todd Pope. This one, much better kick than he has had recently.
Bobby Calfee with a nice run here.
Good defensive effort by Long of Kecoughtan, and back come the Warriors. Warner with some nifty moves on the far side.
Need to get Eric Long a little more active in there trying to receive that ball in the middle. Looks like he's either playing too far back in the defense or too far up in the attack. He needs to make sure he gets in that middle a little bit and help out.
Is he the man that you look to initiate some of your offense?
Right, he needs to be out there distributing that ball and making some plays out there with it and get everyone moving around a little bit more. Looks like they're just going past the entire midfield and going from the defenders up to the attackers, and need to start looking to work that ball a little bit more.
And again, the Crabbers putting pressure on. And again, Pope comes up with it. Fine kick from Pope. Looks like a pretty good save there. Like Scott Herman, good hustle on his part. You wouldn't know that they've played.
I know, they're running
Almost
as hard
two
now
halves.
as they were when we first started.
Hampton keeps possession.
I think Hampton's picking up the tempo a little bit here.
Blocked at the defense. Eric Long takes the ball.
You notice, Tim, in this game that there's more kicks back to the goalie to restart than there was in that first game.
Definitely very much in the ball game. Hampton has not folded by any means. Although I have to say, Kecoughtan really hasn't put any offensive pressure on them in the recent, certainly the last 10 or 15 minutes of this match. I don't know whether that's attributed to Hampton's defense or the lack of Kecoughtan offense.
Looks like Kecoughtan's getting a little frustrated, starting to foul a little bit more out there and push players off the ball when they...
That's exactly what I was going to say. It looks like Kecoughtan is getting a little frustrated, and it's because maybe because of Hampton is playing better offensively.
Looks like Kecoughtan needs to get a little more in the attack. And
Good defense by the Crabbers. Tim Warner had designs on moving in on the goalie there, and a good defensive effort by Hampton to slow him down. Kecoughtan will have a throw-in on the near side. We hope you watching at home are enjoying this contest, as this is the second of our soccer coverage this season. Trying to give...
oh, that was dangerous. Oh, good save by
good
Kyle.
save by Kyle Moore is right.
It was a nice shot and a beautiful save by the goaltender.
That was a dangerous play by that Hampton defender, that's for sure.
So this game has been that close. You look for a mistake to be the turning point.
We could have a tie tonight, too, if that ball hadn't hit that crossbar twice for Hampton. So Hampton's putting on a little pressure. It's a good game. Turned out to be a real good game here. Looks like Hampton's starting to win most of the balls, 50-50 balls in the air, too.
Yeah, I think they've taken the play away from Kecoughtan in the second half. I truly do. The time is running out for the Crabbers, as we have played approximately 38 minutes of the 45-minute half. So about 7 minutes remaining.
And that's strictly unofficial.
Strictly.
You used that unofficial so much yesterday, I figured I better come up with it today.
I like to use that word. It keeps me out of trouble. Good effort by Kecoughtan here.
Still working something.
And they couldn't hold it in.
See, Hampton's starting to push more players up into that attack now. Herbie must know the time's getting close to the end. He wants to try to get a goal before this game's over with. Like you said, 1-0, 3-0, still a loss.
It makes no difference. A loss is a loss. You got to try to do what you can to tie it up, and at least go into two extra periods anyway. It's 5 minutes and 5 minutes, which I think is kind of ridiculous. Go 5 and stop, go 5 and stop. And that's
Well, we
what
talked
Alan
about
was
that.
talking about it in the first half. He said,
Well,
they go just 10, you know.
Well, but there is some reasoning to that, because during those 2 5s, you do switch ends of the field. So if there is a distinct advantage either from the wind or the sun or whatever the factor might be, that it's equal for both teams. So I can see the point of that. And a whistle well behind the play.
That's the game.
That is
And
it.
that's the ball game. So my unofficial time, that was a 40-minute half, guys. I looked at my clock when we started. It was 7:20. So they played a 40-minute half instead of 45. Interesting.
Well, I think the high school games are 40-minute halves.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Maybe that's... We were trying to get that clarified earlier.
We thought
Maybe
it was 45 minutes.
Well, that was
regardless, it was a good game, a well-played game by both, and it could have ended up as a tie because of that, two missed shots by the Hampton. But Scott, we sure appreciate you coming by and adding a little credibility to Tim and I's commentary.
I appreciate you having me up here. I had a good time. It was a good match to watch out there today.
Well, you know, as we've said before, the reason we do sports here on Channel 5 is to get some attention for these young men and ladies that participate in high school sports. These kids in the soccer program, it's not a sport that you see the fans filling the stands as you do with basketball and football, but it's certainly as interesting and an exciting a sport as you would want to have. And I guess it does help for them to get some of this exposure, we hope. Certainly both of these teams performed extremely well this afternoon. As you said, with the crossbar being the difference in Hampton not scoring. Of course, you can go back to several other opportunities for both teams. But a well-played game by both of these teams.
I tell you, and as being a soccer person, it's great to finally see that there's some soccer on TV, and it gives us all a chance to at least watch some games at home and get some people that aren't watching the sport of soccer out there looking to see what it's like and see that it's an exciting game.
Real quickly, the statistics in the ball game for the game: 11 shots on goal for Hampton, 10 for Kecoughtan. No corner kicks in I guess these were the second half statistics. Finals over here, okay. And the fouls pretty equal, as again both of these teams played this game real close to the vest. It was a good game both offensively and defensively. Well, that's going to do it for us. We're going to wrap it up here from Darling Stadium. Again, we thank you, Scott Kennedy, for coming in and giving us your expert commentary for this game today. And the final score again, the Kecoughtan Warriors extend their unbeaten ways as they move their record to 9-0-1. And Hampton will suffer their second loss of the season, but a very well-played game on their part. There you see the people from our crew that made our coverage possible, our director, Scotty Bowers, and our camera people, Dr. Sam Still, our producer. We appreciate all of their efforts, and we again thank the fine folks here at Darling Stadium for their assistance in our presentation of this sporting event for you this afternoon. Final score again, the Kecoughtan Warriors 1, the Hampton Crabbers 0. This is Tim Cole. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon, everybody.